I'm going to start by creating a capsule object. So once I have this capsule object created, I'm going to change this to 12 segments because I'm still going to break this down even much more. Then I'm going to hit C on my keyboard or click on this to convert it to editable format. So I go to the front view, then I'll select this part of the leg. So if I go to this polygon mode and select rectangular selection, I'm going to select this part, hit T on the keyboard and bring this a little bit down somewhere here. Undo. I'm going to select up to this point, I think. Yeah, this is what I should have. So we have that. Then once I'm done with that, the other thing I need to do is to reduce this altogether because this looks too long. So I'm going to go to model mode, go to scale and scale this a little bit down somewhere here. So go to polygon mode again and scale this up so that we have this roundness. So once I'm done with that, the other thing I need to also notice that it's not really round. So go to top view and scale this a little bit down, just somewhere like this. And that's fine. So for us to do the leg, we'll do similar thing here. So I think I'm going to, instead of creating, I'm going to just duplicate this and make it the leg. So I'm going to just duplicate, call this the body, down and leg. So for the leg, I'm going to rotate this, just this here, and move this down. So you will see how am I making this leg. So all I need, just scale this down. That is all I need. Scale it down. So I have this and move it up until I'm fine with the proportion. So I'm still going to scale this down a little bit and move up. And also scale along Y. So we have this. So I just want to have an intersection. All right, so now that I'm done with this, the next thing is to create the other one. So I don't want to just eyeball. So what I'm going to do is I'll create a symmetry object and put a leg there. So I'm going to have the other. So whenever I move this, the other one shifts. Whatsoever I do to this also affects this other one. So I don't really need to stress myself about so many things there. So I think this is fine for the leg. So then the next thing we're going to do is to do the backpack. So I'm going to use cube for that and move this back. Just scale this down and move it in. Just want it to intersect. So maybe this should come back a little bit. So somewhere here is fine for the backpack. All right, so for the backpack, I'm going to throw this into a subdivision surface. So hold down Control and hit subdivision surface so that will be in the same position. Then bring this. So this is what I'm going to find. This is what I'm going to get the first time I do that. So now what I'm going to do is select this backpack, convert that to editable format. So then we'll go to any of this mode. Then hit KL for loop cut. So I'm going to select this middle, hit on this icon to reset this to the mid of that cut. Do the same thing for this horizontal mid of the cut and do the same thing here, mid of that cut. So that gives us this backpack, nothing more. So where the complication is for the face, the glass, the wear. So what I'm going to do is to make use of sphere for that. I'm going to use sphere for that. Just scale this down and bring it out. And now for this sphere, I don't want to make use of this type of sphere, so I'm going to change the type to hexagonal. So we have this. So I'm just going to scale this down such a bunch somewhere here. Okay, so bring this a little bit down and move it up. So once we are done with this, we're going to convert this to editable format and scale this along the z-axis. So we have that, and also along the x. So we have this. So at this point, if we bring this is just a straight object. So what we're going to do now is we need to look for a way to curve this. So I'm going to quickly do one thing. I'm just going to hide that in view. So I'm going to solo this so we have only this. I don't want to interact with that. So I'll just delete this half of this object. So if I go to this polygon mode, UL for loop selection. So I'm going to select this loop and UF for fill selection. Hold down shift and select the remaining parts. Then shift delete or control delete if I'm correct. Okay, it's not working. So just delete. But the thing with this delete is that I'm using R19. So if I go to point mode, I'm still going to see this point. So we need to get rid of this point. So just right click, go to optimize, it optimizes that. So we have this. So once we are done with that, the next thing we're going to do is to try to do the lead of this. So I'm going to go to edge mode, UL, and select this edge, and then D to extrude, or I can just use my move and hold down control and drag this to just extrude this out. Then if I go to polygon mode, UL to select this loop, and D to extrude this out. So we have this extrusion. So that's done. The other thing is I need to look for a way to make this, to curve this guy here. So how am I going to go about that? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly bring all my objects out. So what I want to do is follow this loop, this curve. So if I go to point top view, I need to follow this curvature here. So that is what I need to do. So for me to do that, I'm going to just make use of spline to do that. So if I select spline, okay, so if I select spline and hit this pen, then I'm also going to activate my snap mode and make sure vertex is activated. So once I have that, I'm going to click and drag here for the spline. So I'll just click somewhere here. Need to move into that point. Okay, so this is meant to, so okay, so let me just follow this loop, and once I'm done, I'm going to move them in place. So right click to stop. So now that I have this, I need to now start moving these points in place. So if I select this point and okay, so go to point mode, select this. I can move this and bring it back such that I snap to this vertex. So I don't know why I'm not having that. So if I go to this snap, okay, so we don't have vertex. So we click on vertex. So if we move this point, we can snap to that point. Do the same thing with this to be sure that we are snapping to that vertex. And you will see the reason why I'm doing this in a bit. So once I'm done with that, go to perspective view. So we have that. So if you go to polygon mode and just hide this for a moment, if you bring this out, see that curve. So we are bringing it up to this point, somewhere here. Then the next thing we want to do is to try and convert this to a curve. So if you select this and change to, okay, so Bezier is fine, and then go to point mode, Control 8, select all, right click, and change it to soft interpolation. So we have this softness into it. So I think that is fine for us. So once we're done with that, the next thing we're going to do is to spline wrap this guy here. So if we go to this face marks here and go to the former, you're going to see spline wrap. So bring spline wrap as a child of this spherical object. Then it's going to look for, ask us to fill in a field, which is this. So we'll drag this here. So we're going to do that. So, but then it has flipped this guy. So we just change this axis to negative. So we have that. So that's the first thing. So, and also let's just select everything. Or we could just select this guy and put it in extra mode. Similar thing. That's for the body, for the leg. Make sure everything is in X-ray so we can see what's going on inside. So this is what we have. So we have this issue. So why this is coming out? So we don't know. So what I will do is to go to the spline wrap and change up some things here. So the scale, we have the scale here. The offset is fine. From is fine. 2 is fine. Now the other thing is we don't want it to fit. We want to keep the length. So we change this to keep length. So we have that. I think fit doesn't look bad. I think fit is fine. In my opinion, what do you think? Then the other thing we'll do is to try and bring this out. So if we go to this guy, we can scale this just a little bit and go to the spline and move the spline out a little bit, and that will help us to position this correctly. So, and don't worry about this, we'll solve this out now. So what I'm going to do now is, if you look at this point here, so if we bring this body back, you notice that this edge flow, we're having it, but it's going through this object once you get to this end. So what I'm going to do to solve that issue is to go to the spline and start working on that spline. So if we go to point mode, select this point and move this point out. So if we move this point out, it's affected it. So this is handy, and you can control the way you want your. So I think one point is here that controls where you place all these things. So we'll do the same thing here. So this, for me, I think is a better way of controlling the position of your objects on a curve. So we have that, and that should solve for top and bottom. So anytime we do anything, even if we throw this to a subdivision surface, we can always go back and correct that. So that's just my tip on this. So once you're done with that, the next thing is just what? Nothing more. We are done with it, just to texture this baby. So now let's go to the body and throw this into a subdivision surface so we can see what we have. So we have this, and let's see if this is not poking out. So that means we need to go back to this spline. So you see the importance of that. So you can go back to the spline and move this back so it corrects itself. So we are trying to look for a way for it not to have opening. So just a little bit of intersection there. And bring this up in here. And another advantage of this is that as you're doing this, it's also doing the same thing down there. So we don't really need to bug ourselves with correcting what is down. So everything is fine. So we have this, and also make sure this comes inwards, and that solves that. So we know that this is the solution to that. So we can just quickly hide this so it doesn't distract us. Okay, so I think here, once I'm done, I'm going to convert this guy. I want to be destructive, and the reason is because of this guy here. All right, so I'm going to convert that. So before then, I need to solve this issue I have at the top. So I'm going to hit this and go to this top, select this, and just dissolve this point here. So if I come here, select this and MN to dissolve, then we can now start running our wires how we want it to go. So this is fine. So this is the main body here. So if I hit KK, it gives me line cut. So I want to have a single line cut. So I'm going from here to here so that I can have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we want to have more like 4 polygon. Don't worry, I'm going to finish up this. So if I come here, select this to this, select this to this. If you count this now, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to break this by clicking from this center to the center, and that solves that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Every other part has 4. So if we go to subdivision, activate that, This has solved this issue we have at the top. So we'll do the same thing for the bottom here. So it's just a similar approach. Select this, MN to dissolve that, and KK for line cut. So you need to work more on your command. It's very important. That helps. So select this and bring this down. So we want to follow the same loop. So we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, and that also sets us that. So I could just go through the same thing for the legs. So I just, because of time, I'm just going to leave that. So once I am done with this character, I want to convert this guy. So before I convert this, I'm going to create a copy. Alt G to group that, just hide that. So I'll select this and the spline wrap, right click, and then connect object and delete. So we have one object here. Okay. So that is that. So now that we've done that, we can now always come to this and just select this and delete because we don't need this. And that solves our problem. That's my way of solving that too. Anyway, so I actually still have a backup anytime I want to go back. So let's try and quickly texture this and using Redshift. So if I come here, make sure I'm out of my X-ray mode for all the objects. And I think for this is fine, so we are out. So these legs, sorry about that, my wife was calling. So let me just get back, let me answer this call. So sorry about that. So once we are done, it's just housekeeping, basic housekeeping. So this is back. And this is the what do I call this? I don't know. So just call this glasses, and we are bringing this here. So this is the body. So let's just quickly NA to go back here. So let's quickly set up everything we need to set up. So for this, I need to make this put this into a subdivision of it because this is too rough. So I'm going to control and click and then put this the chart. So that solves that. But I don't want to have this roundness to this. So what I'm going to do is I'll hit Q to hide this for a moment. Then go to point mode, AL for loop selection. I'm going to add the loops cut here, one cut here. I want to pinch this part. If I hit Q, you see what I have here. So I'll do the same thing here at this top. Create one here and one here. Sorry. So that solves that. Then for the inner part, I need to do similar thing here. So click, click, and we are good. And this is giving me this fine roundness. So